Peace to the God. Shout out to the God. This is Naafie in the building. POE the gang. You know the vibes, man. I really just wanted to make this video and kind of talk about, you know, the importance of not only marketing, but also branding, right? I'm going to keep on giving this spiel because that's something that I help with. I help with artists identifying their brand and their target audience. And, you know, I'm very big on marketing yourself because it's one thing to be dope. It's another thing to share that with the people that's rocking with you, right? So let's all just, you know, keep it a beam, man, and talk about the elephant in the room. There's a lot of artists out, you know what I mean? Almost, I forget how many now. But I think it's like 40,000 songs a day are uploaded to just Spotify, right? So, you know, it's a saturated market, right? And there's nothing wrong with that for the consumer because that means that they have a lot to choose from. And it's also easy to access. So that's what it is. That's what the game is. For artists and producers and things like that, things start to get a little tricky now because you're now competing with the other 40,000 songs that got released, or you know, you're now scrapping for the top spot as far as getting placements and all of that stuff, right? So what separates you from the herd is how you brand yourself, is how you market yourself, or the fact that you even market at all, or the fact that you even have a brand at all, right? A lot of artists do not have a brand. And I don't mean in the sense that you're like, you don't have a unique perspective or a unique story, because every person is unique. Every person has a unique story. Like, it might be similar to others, but for the most part, your story is your story, right? Most artists have a unique story, but then when you're asking them to present that unique story as like a business, because that's when you're an artist, you're a business now. Like, your commodity just happens to be music and the things surrounding it, but you're still a business. And every business has marketing, branding, and now because of social media, content, right? So having this conversation, right? Most artists don't even have an LLC that their music is under. And that's not just for, some business shit, like that type of vibe. It's really also for your intellectual property. So, right, if you have an LLC, you now have a place to secure all your intellectual property. So if something happens to you, the individual, then your company will still live on, as well as now you can pass it on, right? If you don't own your intellectual property, yeah, you can give it to them, but you know, if that music is in the public and then, you know, either somebody come at you with rights, or, you know, somebody tries to steal your idea, right? You now have that security within your intellectual property, within the brand and the LLC. Not only that, but again, there's a lot of artists outside, bro. Everybody making music. You know what I mean? Which is a great thing. You know, people are getting back into creating, which is what we're here to do. Let's talk for another time. That's great. But if you're wanting to do this as a professional, as a career, right? If you want to be able to feed yourself off of this, you're going to need some kind of company, right? And the only reason you have a company is so that the people that need you can identify you when they see you. And if we being honest, the most successful people that we know in music have their own brand, period. Whether it's a brand that was passed down, or a brand that they've been a part of, or a brand that they created. All of them have brands, right? So I'm kind of in this niche, so I'll speak on it. Cole, right? J. Cole. He has Dreamville, right? With artists on this roster. Of course, they all got different joint deals with other, you know, labels and all of that. They all signed and all of that whatnot, right? J. Cole is also signed. So Dreamville is a subsidiary of Roc Nation, who is now basically a part of Universal. talk for another time, right? We know who J. Cole is as an artist. We know what type of sound he makes. That's great. When we start talking about Dreamville, it works in your mind a little differently, right? So when you hear J. Cole, you think, oh, album, or oh, he did this feature and such and such. When you hear Dreamville, you one, think of collective, but two, you also think of like Dreamville, like, because he, Dollar in a Dream, all that vibes, right? Think about what that brand does to your mind. You hear Hove, right? You hear Jay-Z, right? You can hear the name like, oh, Jay-Z, that's the person with the whoop. He made Reasonable Doubt and, the American Gangster Project and, you know what I'm saying, did all that, right? Then you start talking about Rock Nation. Think about what that, like, when you hear, like, think about the difference, right? That's because this is kind of what I'm getting to, and this is why we begin to talk about legacy, right? When you hear Nike, what does your mind do, right? Where do you go? What are the things you begin to think about? Of course, they did that via marketing, but Nike or Adidas, right? When you hear Adidas, your mind starts to do certain things. You start to think about, what does that brand mean to me, etc. Versus when you hear Kanye or Yeezy, like, right? I ain't gonna say Yeezy because Yeezy was the person before he made the brand. Like, anyway, I ain't gonna get I ain't gonna try to be all back and forth because my mind weird. Or let's say now let's use a more recent example, Kendrick Lamar, right? You hear Kendrick, your mind goes, okay, Good Kid, Mad City, dope album, dope artist, what do. When you hear Top Dog or his most recent brand, PG Lane, what does that do for you, right? Corday as well, right? You have Corday, artist, you know what I'm saying, do what he do. And then you have his brand, High Level, right? Or you hear another one, Tyler, the Creator, but then you hear Odd Future. And the reason I'm bringing up the individual that made the brand and then the brand that they made is because there is a difference between what that does for you mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally versus strictly just the artist. Because the artist is expressing to you the idea. The company is the manifestation of that idea, right? So if you're an artist, how are you manifesting your ideas, right? Because if you think in this day and age where there's hella artists and these labels and all these people can just go pick up some Joe Schmo on the street that kind of good on the beat pad that ain't did no paperwork and make him into a superstar and own all his stuff. If they can do that, why would they choose you? Right? It's a lot of artists. It's a statistics game. Period. Like, there's a lot of artists, so the choosing pool is big, and since they want to recoup their resources, 9 times out of 10, they're either going to invest into somebody that they can own, or they're going to work with somebody that already has a platform. Russ did it. Nip did it. Russ and Nip off the top because those are the two people that I've studied the most. Who else? Ye kind of did it because he was on what's the name of the label? He was on Rockefeller, and so on and so on and so on, right? Or even 50 Cent created G Unit. That's another, right? So if you're not trying to be signed and give away your art to a company that's going to promote you, because that's what's going to happen. Like, real talk, if you're trying to sign to a label or sign to another company, they're going to own whatever you make with them because they have to recoup their money back. It's business, period. It's shiesty, and they do some real messed up things in these streets. But that's what happens because they have to recoup their resource. Like, they have to recoup their money back. The same way how you help somebody in some shape, form, or fashion, or you're working, you have a partnership with like a producer or somebody that you know down the street. Like, you're a part of that relationship because you know that energy is going to be reciprocated. So why would that change for some of these other companies? Like, they want to recoup their resources, and the difference between maybe the example I gave in these companies is that they willing to do anything to get their money back. They're willing to, do insurance policies and so on and so on and so on, right? So bearing this in mind, if you don't want to give away all your art and not own your art, your next bet is to secure that via your own company and doing the paperwork and just, getting on the independent grind. Shouts out to Dorian82, right? He said something dope. He was like, do you want the validation, which is what the industry gives you, which is what signing to these companies, these labels is going to do, or do you want the money? Because the independent niggas making bread. Look at LaRussell, right? And LaRussell is a great example of what I'm talking about as well. Because LaRussell is a dope artist. And obviously, he's one of the main artists in his good company, right? He's one of the main artists. But the company is what people are. He brings people into the company, right? He's the top of the funnel, if you want to think about it that way, right? If you want to think in terms of business, your music is the top of the funnel, right? So yeah, Russell is one of the major parts of Gun Company, and it probably wouldn't be running the way it does without him. However, the company, the brand, is what he's pushing, right? Because this brand is a manifestation of the idea that he had that can be passed along, right? So how are you manifesting your ideas, right? How are you making your dreams real? One of the ways to do that is through a brand, through a company, right? And that's just branding, right? Because people have to identify you when they see you. Now, in terms of marketing, that's a whole nother game. Because literally marketing is just putting yourself in front of the people that are going to rock with your brand and support you. Period. That's all marketing is. And it's really just being intentional and being consistent, right? So when you hear people talking about, targeting with Facebook ads or Instagram ads and etc., when you hear people talk about reach or impressions, right? When you hear people talk, posting on their story, what are the other ways? There's so many ways to get it in, right? Posters, radio ads, features are another way to market yourself, right? Working with other producers, another way to market. There's many ways to market yourself. The issue that I'm seeing from other artists, and I've been in the rut before, so I understand, but learn to do better, is that many artists do not market themselves consistently. It's not that they don't share their music, because of course they're going to share their music. Yo, dope song, I just made this. Yo, here's the snippet, wooty wooty woo. Yo, of course, artists want to share their art because they worked hard to do it, and they dope. So they want to share their art. The issue is that they only shared once, and they don't share anything else along with that. Again, we have to think about the saturation of music and art right now. Everybody creating and the internet open, so everybody's sharing their stuff. So if you're not doing it consistently, then you're gonna fall by the wayside. And most of the artists that we have known to be prominent, they were consistent, right? Not only that, but they were unique, right? They found some way to stand out. Some of them do some bullshit, but who are we to decide what that person should or should not do with how they want to live their life? That's on them. They karma. It is what it is. So when we talking about marketing, you not only do you have to be consistent, but you also got to know who you're talking to. I've seen a lot of artists want to generalize their music because they want to reach a wide audience. And again, shout out to Doran. He said this also. A lot of artists, they don't focus on a niche. They don't focus on no niche. They don't focus on the specific audience. They're like, okay, I want to make music for everybody. You can't make music for everybody because everybody's not going to rock with your stuff, right? And even if you try to make, even if you try to mimic a sound that everybody's listening to, it's not you, so it's not going to go over well. And this is a talk, I think I have a video on this about authenticity, right? But There's a different level of energy when you're being authentic versus when you're trying to copy somebody's shit. And it shows. Even though we don't think it does, it really does show, right? So even like for me personally, right? I've tried it, right? I try to make like radio songs and shift into that lane, but yo, I'm an MC, bro. I like to rap, like, and I'm learning how to sing now, and I'm actually enjoying it. So we're gonna bridge that gap. But I know what type of artist I am, and I know what type of music I make. So I'm gonna focus on them people, i.e., the spiritually aware, right? The people who are aware that there are other layers. Oh goodness, the people that are aware of the other layers of this reality and are not just looking at things one way, right? That are also hip hop fans, and of course, there's always going to be some refinement with that, right? But generally speaking, that's my target audience. So, in order to in order to be successful in what you want to do, you have to identify who you're talking to and then have them see it as often as possible. And then, of course, the rapport and actually building a connection with these people is the next step, which is where, again, artists kind of miss out on. Because of the saturation of the market, everybody making music. What makes you different, right? What makes you stand out? I can count 10 rappers on my hand, right? I can count 10 rappers. Like, what makes their music different? Two, what makes them different? Like, if I hear, let's say I hear like Kendrick and Cole, right? Of course we know these are two separate people. The type of music that they make is different, right? What separates how they operate, right? If we look at Lil Russell and Russ, what separates how they make music? And I'm not saying separate as in they don't work together, because I think Lil Russell and Russ are probably gonna work together on something soon. But what makes you stand out? What makes you unique, right? That's where something like content comes in, where you can either show people your unique experience, show them your unique perception, or you're showing like day-to-day life, those type of things, right? And I think a lot of artists cheat themselves or cheat making content by just saying, oh, new music coming out. So they'll just drop snippets and drop a whole bunch of, oh, I'm on stage or I'm making music, and you sharing your process, there's nothing wrong with that. Or you sharing your journey, there's nothing wrong with that. Document your journey, most definitely. However, if you aren't making content that's like either thought-provoking, sharing your unique view of the world, which is what you're doing in your art anyway, or that gives people the opportunity to connect with the type of person that you are, it's going to be real difficult for you to succeed. Not necessarily just as far as sharing the music, but as far as actually making money from it. Because people only buy from individuals they like, know, and trust. Period. They only buy from people they like, know, and trust. Do they like you? Do they know you? Do they trust you? If you can't answer them 3 questions when you're making content and when you're making music, it's going to be hard out here for a pimp for you to make bread. And a lot of artists are shortchanging themselves and leaving their money on the table and foregoing legacy because they're doing things that major artists have done, when these major artists have machines behind them that allow them to monetize on the little snippets and stuff that they posting, right? They have an entire machine. So even if they only posting like maybe once a week, right? Or even if they only going live like once a month, they have the whole label behind them doing things behind the scenes, getting them placements and getting features and doing all of that behind the scenes stuff that some independent artists just don't necessarily have. So mimicking them specifically, like, it's not gonna get you paid. Like, it's not. you know? And I'm not saying that money should be the driving force behind you sharing your art. The driving force should be the love and appreciation for the art, your message, the type of people that you want to reach, the impact you want to make. Those things are the most important. However, when you love something, you do everything in your ability to make that thing successful without compromising your integrity. And either A, artists ain't doing everything that they need to do to make their art successful, or B, they're compromising their integrity. So, it's really, like independent artists have to lock in on what makes business good, not just what makes music good. You need both if you're a musical artist, right? Or even if you're a graphic artist or paint, right? You need both. You need the talent, the skill, right? You need the skill, right? And you need the business, because without both, it's like you're missing something. One hand wash the other, both wash the face, right? So, and business is spiritual. You know what I mean? Like I've talked about that before. Business really is spiritual, right? Your intention is created in the business, and then the mission statement, your intention is, so your idea is the name of the business. Your intention is the mission statement, and then how you operate shows that intention. Right thought, right intention, right action. Shouts out to my shamanism teacher for that quote. That's something that she lives and dies by, and that, right thought, right intention, right action. The right thought is your business. The right intention is the mission statement. And then the right action is the things that you do in that business to be successful. So, many artists just don't want to succeed as far as the business thing, or they want someone else to do it, which is fine, right? I'm not saying that anyone's path is wrong, but if you want certain results, there's certain things you have to do, right? So these are my thoughts as far as branding and marketing for artists in 2022, like right here, right now. And if you made it to the end of this video, bruh, you actually probably rock with me. So definitely check out the Morphin Time EP. It's on this channel as well as on all streaming platforms. Head to the website perceptionovereverything.com. We got books, we got music, of course. So if you're wanting the lyrics to some of the songs, they're available in the digital downloads with the music. And I think one of my albums has like bonus tracks, so people out for that. Definitely gonna get the book, The Art of Inspiration, The Highest Human Act, available on Amazon, as well as the ebook is on the website. I am a cardologist. Cardology is basically astrology with playing cards, and it's accurate, dog. Even last year and even up to now, it don't miss, right? So if you're wondering about, readings, or not even wondering, like if you're interested in getting a reading that can help you be a conscious creator, definitely holler at your boy. The booking link is also on the site. And if you're an artist and would like help marketing, right? If you would like help with business structure, because I have literally given people sales script and they made hundreds of dollars in a matter of days, right? We ain't gonna say thousands, I'm not gonna lie. I have helped someone make hundreds of dollars in a matter of days using strategies that I gave them, right? If that's something that you're interested in, helping you set up the business structure, getting your intellectual property right, really learning how to market yourself, finding your target audience, holla at your boy, setting up the systems for you to be successful. Because it's one thing to just put out the music and have your site, whatever. It's another thing to create the funnel where it's a seamless process, right? You want to create a seamless experience for the people that rock with you so they can easily find everything and the various ways to support you, right? So if that's something that you're interested in, I do offer a free consultation for both the readings and those types of things, as well as the business related. So check the links for that. And other than that, man, I'm out of here. I'm done ranting. So have a good day or a night whenever you're choosing to watch this. And if you made it, to the end. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Peace.